Everyone. Welcome to our first ever guided meditation with Dharma Lab. I am Cortland Dahl. I imagine many of us are already acquainted, and I'm here with my dear Dharma brother, Dr. Richard Davidson. Richie, as many of you know, one of the most respected and pioneering neuroscientists on the planet. And we've been doing I think it's almost exactly a year since we started Dharma Lab, so I don't think we planned it this way, but this is kind of our 1 year anniversary. And what better way to celebrate that than with a little bit of practice, which you get a lot of talk in Dharma Lab, I must say. We've had a lot of amazing conversations, both with each other and with some amazing guests. And but at the heart of what we're doing is really practice. It's how we can embody and experience directly some of these amazing insights that we are garnering from research, the research we do and that others do, and also from the world's contemplative tradition. So wonderful to be here together and to spend most of this time practicing. So we're just going to say a few words at the beginning to get us started, and then most of the time we'll spend experimenting with some practices related to this framework that you hear about all the time, what we refer to as the ACIP framework: awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. And then at the end, we really want to hear from you what your experience has been, what resonated with you, what came up when we did these practices, really any questions, experiences, comments that you'd like to share. So there'll be a little bit of time at the end where you can write in your comments or questions. So I see that some of you are already chiming in on the chat, but maybe you could just write in briefly in the chat where you are joining from so we can see where you are in the world. We already have Mary all the way from Australia. I can see people coming in from all over the US, Germany, Europe, Mexico. Amazing. Wow, look at this. So beautiful. All over the world, all over the US. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. I think it's one of the coolest things about this that we're going to be practicing together with people literally from all over the world. So what a gift to connect with you all. So there's two things that Richie and I wanted to mention right out of the gate as two of the most important ingredients, you might say, when it comes to practicing these skills of awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. And a lot of the time when we meditate or we do other practices, we just throw ourselves into the practice without giving so much thought to what we're carrying with us when we start the practice. But in some respects, our motivation, which you'll hear about from Richie in a moment, and our mindset, or what in traditional terms is called the view, are more important than the practice we actually do. So I'm just going to say a couple words about the mindset, and Richie's going to share a little bit about the view. Then we'll do a little mini practice together. And hopefully you can bring this into the practices we experiment with tonight. So typically when we meditate, oftentimes, I think for most of us, I know certainly this is true for me, and Richie, I've heard you share this about your own experience, we often come to this seeing the flaws and the shortcomings in our own mind. And we do things like meditation thinking that that's going to somehow, we're going to be less distracted and more calm. We're going to be more compassionate. We're going to be less reactive. We see all the things that should be better. And then we view meditation as the way that we're going to improve ourselves. It's basically some kind of elaborate self-improvement program. That's the default. I think most of us don't even really think about it. But a lot of what we talk about in Dharma Lab and a lot of the traditions we're drawing on with the insights and practices we share, specifically the Tibetan tradition, which we're both very steeped in, is based on a completely different view. And it's really one more based on self-discovery than self-improvement. And the whole idea is simple. It's that we're not the flawed, broken creatures that we normally think we are. In fact, we have the ingredients, the raw materials of flourishing and well-being are kind of baked into our DNA. We're wired for flourishing, but we simply haven't learned to see these qualities about ourselves. So, specifically, when we talk about awareness, connection, insight, purpose, which you'll practice tonight, it's a practice of really tuning into the frequencies of your experience that are already there. It's bringing these qualities into focus, not that we need to somehow get better at them or get something we don't have. So, this is the view, this is the mindset we start with, that we're not broken. Meditation isn't going to fix anything. It's going to help us see the parts that are not broken and never were broken. So that's kind of the one really, really important thing to bring into your practice, is really to just get clear about your mindset and to come to it from a point of view of discovery and exploration. So that's the first one. The next, we're going to hear a little bit from Richie. So maybe I'll turn it over to you, Richie. You can share some
Yeah,
thoughts and then we'll practice.
thank you. And it's really great to be with you all for this inaugural practice session. This really, after all, is the heart of all that we do. So it's really an honor to be able to share this with you. Um, and before I get to motivation, one other thing about view. This is something that is not just for the cushion, but it's something that permeates my life. When I was a student, I was taught to look at people as a psychologist and try to figure out what's wrong with them. And this view is really to look at people and try to figure out what's right with them. It's a very different orientation. And once you have a little bit of experience with it, it actually comes quite easily. So it's very beautiful. With respect to motivation, this is really something so vitally important. And when we began our dialogues with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the first question he would always ask us is about our motivation. What is our motivation for doing the work that we're doing? And what is our motivation for convening this evening to be with you and to be with each other? And so the invitation here is to try to find a place within ourselves that can see the practice in which we're engaged as something not only for the benefit of ourselves, but actually for the benefit of others. And that this practice of calming our mind and opening our heart is really we're really doing it for each other. And this, maybe we'll have time to talk about this at the end, but this really gets back to one of our slogans, which we have talked about previously on Dharma Lab, and that is that flourishing is contagious. It's something that is really of benefit to all of those that we touch directly or indirectly.
So maybe we can just start with a little ritual that Richie and I do literally every time we record anything for Dharma Lab. And sometimes we've done it on camera, so to speak, in some of our Ask Me Anything sessions. So some of you might have experimented with this. But Richie, can I put you on the spot to guide a little motivation practice, and then we can move on
Sure.
to awareness?
Sure, happy to do that. So we call this a bodhicitta practice, really to a practice where we deeply experience the possibility that the practices in which we're engaged will be beneficial for all beings everywhere. And imagine this in the vastest possible way we can. That when we collectively are engaged in these practices, it really can have benefit, and that is why fundamentally we're engaged in this activity together. So let's spend a few moments reflecting on our motivation, reflecting on what has brought us here, and reflecting on this possibility that engaging in these practices together has the potential of benefiting people and beings everywhere. Okay, Court, you can now take it away with awareness.
So, we are going to experiment with some simple meditation practices related to each of these four areas, these four dimensions of well being, and we'll start with awareness. So, here at the outset, some of the mechanics of practice that can be very helpful are to begin before any practice actually with a little bit of being. So, let's just start with what we call open awareness or resting in open awareness. And I'll walk you through a simple way to drop into this state of effortless presence. So you can start by checking in with your body. You can leave your eyes gently open with a relaxed gaze, or you can allow them to close, really whatever feels natural. And take 3 slow, deep breaths. And feel the air moving through your body as you breathe in and out. And at the end of your 3rd breath, you can just allow your breathing to return to its normal pace. It doesn't matter if your breathing is slow and relaxed or a little more rapid. It's totally fine, whatever is naturally happening. And just sit. You don't need to focus on anything. You can remain completely open to whatever you might see or hear or feel. And you can let your mind do whatever it is naturally doing. You don't need to stop thinking or control your mind or attention in any way whatsoever. Just simply be as you are in this moment. So, in this awareness, or in this moment, awareness is already present. You don't need to do anything to manufacture it or improve it. Just notice that your mind has this innate knowing quality. And just rest. There's nothing to do, no special state of consciousness you need to attain or achieve. Just, again, simply be. And now you can gently close your eyes if they were still open, and bring awareness to what you hear. If there are sounds happening in the world around you, simply notice them. If it's quiet, notice the silence. And allow the world of sound to be a support for awareness. Rest your awareness on all of these sounds that are moving through your mind right now. You don't need to apply any mental effort here. You don't need to concentrate on these sounds. If you know that you are hearing, that's it. It's more of a noticing, an effortless noticing. In this case, just noticing that sounds are present. And now you can let go of the orientation towards what you're hearing, towards sound. And again, just rest for a few moments. Just let your mind be totally natural. If you feel restless, agitated, or bored, just allow that to happen. If you feel relaxed and calm, allow that to happen. There's no right or wrong way to feel. Now you can slowly open your eyes. Continue to rest for just a few moments. You can allow this quality of being to stay with you for a few moments. And Richie, I'll turn it over to you. We'll switch gears for a little bit of a different flavor.
Wonderful, thank you. And if Miguel Rinpoche was guiding, he might say, "How is that?" That was great. So we're going to move into connection now. And again, as we start any practice, it's an opportunity to adjust our posture, sitting in an upright and comfortable posture, not too tight, not too loose. And we can keep our eyes closed if that's comfortable, or you can softly gaze if that feels better. And as we start any practice, again, taking even just a very short moment to refresh our motivation, remind ourselves why we're here, and reflecting on the possibility that being together in this way is a benefit not only to ourselves, but to so many others that we connect with directly or indirectly. And in this first part of the practice, let's do what we did previously and simply shift from this mode of doing to one of being, and simply being aware and using whatever may be arising in our mind and our body as support for awareness, and resting with a very wide aperture of awareness. And here the invitation is not to shift anything, not to change anything, not to fix anything, but simply to be. And now let's bring into our mind and our heart a person we appreciate. It could be a family member, a loved one, a dear friend. It can even be a pet. And bring this being into your mind and your heart. And see if you can identify a specific time in which they may have been of benefit to you. They may have been helpful in whatever way. And as you bring this being into your mind and your heart and reflect on a specific time they were of benefit, simply notice what may be coming up. How is your body feeling? What may be happening in your mind? What thoughts and feelings may arise? Simply notice whatever may be coming up. And you can express in words silently to yourself something about this encounter. It may be as simple as thank you. Maybe thank you for being who you are in this world. I'm grateful for your help and service, whatever it might be. Use words that feel most natural to you, and silently repeat them a few times. And again, as you repeat these words, simply notice whatever may be arising in your mind and your heart and your body. And see if you can also notice that this appreciation can extend not only to another person, but appreciating what is good, appreciating open heartedness and warmth and connection. All of these qualities that are part of this precious human birth of which we all are a part. And as we transition out of this short period of practice, let's slowly let go of the person or being we are holding in our mind and our heart, and simply rest for a few moments in open awareness, simply being aware of whatever may be arising in our bodies and in our minds. And as we do this, we can slowly open our eyes for those whose eyes have been closed. And I will now turn it back to Court.
So why don't we take a little movement break? I imagine most of you have been sitting still for a little bit. If you have been and you like, you can either stand up or you can just move where you are in your chair or on the cushion and bring a little awareness into your body. Move your arms, your legs, your midsection, your head, your neck, and just notice the feelings and sensations in your body as you move. Movement and exercise are an amazing contemplative practice if you bring a little intention into your mind as you do it. So just shift and move. Notice, you might notice a little tingling or a little energy in your body as you move. And then when you're ready, you can sit back down or allow your body to settle a bit. And as we just did a few moments ago, you can take a few moments to relax back into open, effortless awareness. And one of the keys to this particular part of the practice is that you don't need to feel any particular way. It's not a practice of relaxation, although sometimes you might feel relaxed. It's a practice of radically being as you are, of being who you are fully. So whatever is going on in your body, in your mind, in the world around you, just allow it to be as it is and just rest. As before, you can tune into what your body naturally wants to do. If you'd like to keep your eyes closed for this next practice, or this next part of the practice, you can do so. And you're also welcome to keep them gently open, whatever feels natural. So feel the movement of your breath. Feel the weight of your body on the chair or cushion, your feet on the floor. And now we'll do a little insight practice, which is all about curiosity and seeing clearly. So, for this one, you can bring to mind something that's going on in your life these days that is a little stressful. Not the most difficult thing, not something that's really difficult, just something that's a little annoying or stressful, challenging in some way. So, take a moment to bring that to mind. If you can't think of anything, you can think about a past event or something in the future you might be anxious about. And as you do this, notice the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations in your body that naturally come up when you bring this to mind. Again, there's no right or wrong here. This is just about curiosity, just noticing what's actually happening. Are there particular thoughts? Is there a story that naturally plays out in your mind when you think of this event? Is there a feeling of anxiety or fear or resentment or anything else? Just notice what actually happens in your mind and body when you think of this. You can even dig a little deeper and ask, what are the assumptions, the beliefs, the expectations that underlie these thoughts and feelings? What do I believe to be true? What do I assume to be true about myself, another person, the situation? Again, just get curious. The point is not to stop any of this, to judge it as good or bad or right or wrong. It's just to see beliefs and thoughts and reactions clearly. To bring curiosity instead of judgment. So now you can let go and again just rest. Drop back into that state of simply being, resting in open awareness, and just notice whatever's going on. Let whatever feelings and thoughts are moving through your mind move through naturally and just be. Okay. You can gently open your eyes if they've been closed, and we will move on to our fourth and final experiment of the evening.
Okay, so now we will have a little taste of purpose. So again, let's find a good, comfortable, upright posture, and we can close our eyes again if that's comfortable. If not, we can softly gaze. And as we've done with the other pillars, let's begin with just a micro motivation reminder. We can do it silently in our mind. And now spend the first few moments of this practice resting in open awareness, bringing our awareness into our bodies, into the room in which we're sitting, and again, simply noticing whatever may be arising. Nothing to change, nothing to fix. Simply being. And now let's bring into our mind and our heart a person who inspires us, whose life is led with values that resonate with us, who we admire in some way. And this may be a living person, it may be someone from your past, it could be a historical figure that you've never met. Whoever it is, bring this person into your mind and your heart. And reflect on what it is that really inspires you beyond the sort of coarse admiration that you may have. Is there a specific quality that they embody that really touches you? It might be their humility, it might be their compassion, it might be their service, it might be their radical honesty. Whatever quality is prominent and touches you, see if you can identify that quality. And as you identify that quality, reflect on your own life and where has that quality emerged? Where has that quality been expressed in your own life, even in a modest form, whatever situation it might have been? And see if you can connect with that situation from your past. And as you connect with this situation, let's see if we can recognize that we ourselves have that quality. And the person who inspires us may help us to connect with this quality, may help us identify this quality. But this quality is really part of who we are as well. And now let's reflect on our lives and what the next week or 2 weeks might be. Are there opportunities that we know about where we may be able to connect to this quality, whatever this quality might be? And it doesn't have to be something dramatic. It really is in the small ways in which these qualities show up in our lives that can really nurture our flourishing. And so simply reflecting on the granular details of our upcoming lives and where we may see the opportunities to connect with this quality or value that inspires us. And it is in these ways that flourishing really is often easier than we think. As we have these qualities within us already, and we can connect them to our activities of daily living. And now, as we transition out of this short period of practice, let's allow our specific visualization of this person to fade away, and let's simply rest in open awareness and notice whatever may be arising. No need to do anything. Simply be aware. And we can open our eyes for those who have their eyes closed. And we can re-engage, and we'll spend the last few minutes in some discussion and some questions and answers, or questions and questions.
Thank you so much, Richie, and everybody for joining us for a little bit of practice. Needless to say, this is an experiment for us. This is the first time we've done this particular format and done it via Zoom this way. So we're learning as we go here. But this was lovely to practice together. So as Richie just said, we've got a little bit of time left. And we've got some things that we'd like to share with you in a few minutes. Beautiful to see this flow of hearts. That is really lovely. Thank you for sharing that. So we thought it might be fun and interesting just to hear what resonated with you. I think one of the points with all of this is that we learn different practices and we're all different. Some things might resonate, some things might not resonate at all. Some things might feel very easy and natural. Some things might feel artificial or mechanical, or we just kind of feel like it's a blind spot. It's hard to connect with. So feel free to maybe put in your in the chat, just share with us what your experience was. Were there things that resonated with, things that you didn't? We'd love just to hear from you. And of course, if you want to put any comments about your experience during these practices or questions, you're welcome to really put anything in the chat that inspires you. So we'll just kind of go through this together. So Betty wrote, it's always helpful to be reminded that we're not broken, we're not fixing ourselves, and we're connecting with what's already present. So, so true. We cannot hear that enough. So let's see. Yeah, so many beautiful comments. Gail wrote that the last one, meaning the purpose practice, presumably resonated. Thank you so much. Resonated. Natalia wrote, I resonated with open awareness. The simplicity was powerful.
It's so great to see so many of you really getting it. I love the comment, we meditate to explore ourselves, not improve.
Yeah.
It's great.
Focusing on the positive was helpful. Actually, there's such interesting science on that. We've discussed that, I think, in some of the Dharma Lab episodes. I think, didn't we record something recently where we touched upon that? It's interesting science, focusing on strengths versus weaknesses.
Yes.
So, yeah, it looks like a lot about focusing on the positive, the ease of being. Linda wrote, that's a nice, beautiful way to put it. Emphasis on motivation. Another one talking about purpose.
Annette wrote, it all resonated. As a retired teacher, I can see how this practice can be taught to youth to give them hope. That's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Amanda wrote, I would like to see more visual imagery in guided meditation practice. Thank you. That's actually a really helpful reminder. If you crack open my head, it's mostly words in here. So, I need to be reminded of that continually. Thank you. Beautiful. The loving kindness. Shravani wrote the loving kindness resonated. Yeah, so nice. Yeah, and Nancy wrote, it's interesting to see how the four elements were specific in each practice. I think that's one thing that is maybe not so clear. We've been really trying to do this in our scientific work, is actually just highlight how different these practices are. They're different in the mind. They can certainly feel different, and even in terms of our biology, like brain networks and how they affect even things like our heart rate and respiration rate can even be different. So it's quite interesting. Jean wrote, I found the insight practice. Interesting. Nice. Great. So yeah, this is great. And I think maybe we have time for maybe one or two questions. We don't have a ton of time, but if there's any questions that came up from this, maybe we could entertain a couple questions before we sign off. And as I mentioned, we've got a few things we'd like to tell you about. Wow, there's so many comments. Let's see if we can keep up.
Oh.
So Katie wrote, when the mind needs a place to settle in open awareness, how can we visualize this? Yeah, I don't know, Richie. Maybe we can each share our experience with it. A lot of this is letting go of the impulse to be doing anything particular with the mind. And we can even turn what I just said into a doing where we're kind of trying to stop something, but we're not even trying to stop something. It's more you just let the mind do what it's doing, which even could include the attention. Like your attention might shift and move. Usually gradually it settles down, but sometimes it doesn't. Your thoughts may settle down or they may not. And it's really just becoming the sky and letting the weather patterns of the mind just be whatever they are. Whether they're stormy or it's a clear sunny day, you just kind of allow that. And that's the challenge of it because we just have very little practice in being. And we kind of try to do being, as strange as that sounds. So what I like to think is some of the easiest sitting point or one of the easiest starting points is just to sit. Like just imagine you just sat down and you hadn't started doing anything yet and you just plop yourself down and you sit there for a few moments. There's this kind of this moment you let go of whatever it is you were doing before you sat down and you haven't started whatever it is you think you might do next. You're going to pick up a book or meditate or whatever you might do. And there's just this moment of simplicity. There's nothing, no special state of mind, but it's a little glimpse of being. So that just moment of just sitting yourself down or like a small child opening their eyes in the morning for the first time. And there's just not all the complicated thoughts that flood through awareness and just that moment of simple being. But Richie, what would you say? What's in your mind a good entry point into this?
Yeah, I mean, all of those are very relevant. Often the analogy is given after you've done some, kind of really intense activity, either cognitive or physical, and you just let go and you just drop. You kind of sit down um, and just are open. You're awake, but just that's it. Nothing else. Uh, and yeah, it's that um, mode of being. And as we connect to it more and more frequently, it becomes more familiar, and we are able to access it even while we're doing in a paradoxical way. So even while I'm just uh, emitting these words and talking, being part of this webinar, at the same time, um, we could be noticing what's going on in the background and just resting in that awareness.
At the beginning, it's like you're alternating between doing and being. And then eventually the doing can happen while you're still have this inner space of being, which is quite beautiful. Um, so there's tons of great questions here. One that caught my eye was Shravani wrote, how can we be curious when rumination creeps in? You want to speak to that, Richie? Anything come to mind?
Yeah. So again, we really, in the tradition that we come from, anything can be a support for our awareness. And so we can use rumination to support our awareness. And in that case, we are not so much getting wrapped up in the story of what we're ruminating about, but rather we're simply curious. Wow, the mind is ruminating now. It's kind of like noticing it as rumination, just what's happening rather than the story of whatever it is you're ruminating about. And that's something that really is always accessible. It's not familiar to us initially, but once it becomes more and more familiar, we can drop into that, and it can be enormously helpful because if we're ruminating and really getting carried away and caught in it, and then we recognize, wow, man, my mind is ruminating again. Isn't that interesting? And then it shifts.
Yeah, that's so well put, Richie. And we talk so frequently about this image of the sky and the clouds and the weather, and I think what we experience today gives kind of a maybe highlights how we can think about that with open awareness, which we did a bunch of times even in this short hour together. That's like just dropping into the sky. And then you just kind of let the weather be whatever it is. If it's like storm clouds and hurricanes, you just let it. You're kind of not worrying about it. You're not even paying attention to it. You kind of know it's there, but it's really being the sky is the practice. And then sometimes you actually can look at the weather. And in this case, as Richie said, you can just use it as a support for awareness. You're just kind of observing that it's there. You can even do it as an appreciation practice. Like there's a creative energy to that. There's all sorts of things if you look at it a certain way. And then I think insight can be in particular helpful because it's clear you're not trying to make it stop and you're not seeing it as bad or a flaw, but you're just like, oh, that's interesting. Like when I have these thoughts, like for me, I talk about anxiety all the time. Like, yeah, when I have anxiety, my mind, it's like a little screen and all I can see is this negative stuff. And it's like, that's kind of interesting. Like if I have certain thought patterns and I have certain feelings in my body, reality just kind of appears to be a certain way. And you're just getting curious about that rather than trying to stop it or change it or fix it. So even something like rumination, which can feel so toxic at times, can be a source of just incredible discovery, to kind of go back to this basic idea, and a source of tremendous empathy and connection with other people too. So all of these things are really great gateways. It's usually the stuff that we think we need to get rid of about ourselves that becomes the great catalyst in our kind of personal insights and breakthroughs. So hopefully this will be the first of many times where we get together and practice like this. We certainly have some plans to do more of this. And there's just a few things we'd like to tell you about coming up here soon. Neil, if you want to put up the slides, that would be fantastic. I think the first thing just to say is that I just want to maybe on behalf of both of us just start on a note of gratitude. We really are inspired to make as much of this freely available as possible, and we really wouldn't be able to do that without so many of you have supported our work in so many ways for so long. Some cases, people volunteer. In some cases, supporting our work financially in various ways. The research that Richie has done for decades, the work that we've done together, and so on. All of this is powered by generosity. All of this is made possible by all of us just coming together and trying to find ways to make this available in the world. I want to especially thank Neil and Kim Rajdev. Neil is the one who's operating the slides right now, so I'm making him less able to operate the slides. But those are two examples of two wonderful bodhisattvas, as we would say, who have just been helping behind the scenes, and we would not be able to do this without them. And so many others similarly who have been helping. So just want to start that on that note of gratitude. A few things coming up that we're really, really excited about and that we've been planning for a while and really, really excited to kind of get going. The first is that I think most of you know that the Healthy Minds app is something that Richie and I created together along with an amazing team at Human, formerly called Healthy Minds Innovations. So I know many of you, in fact, I saw some of the comments, you've been using this app, and it's really, a big part of our work together and our hope to benefit others through this work. So if you want to go deeper with this, you can click the QR code here. That'll take you to the app. I think many of you already know about it. But for those of you who are newer here, that is one way you can get a much deeper dive into this. So that's another thing coming up. And then we're super excited that we've got a free summit, a freely offered summit that is coming up in November. And this is really, I think, going to be quite amazing. These are some people who we truly admire and whose work we find just some of the coolest work going on in the world these days. And you can see, rather than having a huge list, we really tried to connect with the people who are just the people who we think are just the wisest, most insightful people we can connect with. And So we have a free online summit that is coming up. You can see the details here, and you can see some of the speakers. Some of these names you might be familiar with, some you might not, but I think we can guarantee for the names you don't know, these are truly extraordinary people, not only for the work they do, but for kind of for who they are. Just wonderful, remarkable people as individuals. So we would love to have you join us for this. It's freely offered, and you can see the dates here at the bottom of the screen. So you'll be hearing more about this if you're. I think all of you are signed up for Dharma Lab, or you wouldn't be here. But we're very excited about it. It's the first time we've done anything like this, and it's going to be all very kind of dialogue based. So us just having some conversations and sharing ways where you can hopefully practice this and put it into apply it in your own life. So that is coming up as well. So that is it for now. Richie, any final words or thoughts or anything you'd like to share as we round
Just
this one out?
a big hug to all of you and a lot of appreciation. It really is a labor of love and joy for Court and I to do this, and deep bow to Neil and Kim behind the scenes who enable all of this and make this possible. So thank you all.
Have a great day, night, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.
Thank you.